Hey there, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show with Sasha and Ish. Alright, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is the one about positioning for promotion. How do you create opportunities for yourself and get ready for other opportunities within the company you work for? Plus a little bit of behind the scenes. Are you touching the table?
No, did I?
Yes. You sit on those hands. And this is why we edit.
Does that make sense? Sometimes... Oh.
Alright, that's the show. Let's get it. Alright, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is the one about positioning for promotion. How do you get promoted, get recognised, climb to the top of your role, get to the top of the mountain. And we're going to give you tips and hacks and advice on that. And to help me with that, Sasha Coburn, have you got your tramping boots on to climb that mountain?
I am ready! I am ready to climb that mountain.
It's such a good discussion because I think if you're early in your career, positioning for promotion is just such a good way to go. Like sometimes we think, oh, I'll go get another job. But actually, often climbing within the job that we have, especially if we love it, is just a great thing to do. So if we can position you well to take advantage of it, then that's always going to be good advice, right?
Yeah, and this is especially true when you are working for a company that you really enjoy, doing work that matters. You like your job, but you just know that you're capable of more. And there's a paradox here because so often in an existing company, it's easy to be taken for granted and it's easy to be pigeonholed into the role that you're currently doing. So the temptation is if I go and work for someone else, they'll see me in a fresh new light. And so what we want to talk about today is before you take that leap, is it possible to stay with the people that you love, stay with the company that you want to be with, but actually position yourself to get a promotion and do more, get paid more, get more responsibility, get more feeling of, wow, what I'm doing matters? Yeah, we want to help you do that.
Yeah, and you're so right about loving the place that you work, because if it's just about money and you don't love it, the money sensation feels good for a little while when the promotion pay rise comes in. But then that quickly becomes the new normal and you're just stuck with the same boss who's an arsehole or the same company that you don't like.
Yes, but I don't know anything about that because I have no experience of that.
Because you love it where you work.
I love everything. I was actually thinking when we were talking about doing this topic, I was going, so how did you really get ahead at Les Mills? And I'm like, slept with the boss. How did you really get ahead at Coffee Culture? And I went, slept with the boss. How did you get ahead at the law firm you worked with? Didn't get ahead, didn't sleep with the boss. I'm like, there's a pattern here. This is all the wrong messages.
Well, I didn't sleep with the boss and I got ahead, so...
Well, I think let's listen to your expertise today. You lead us off.
One of the first things to do is put it on the radar that you do want to move up. So have a conversation about progression. Like think about what's next for you and have that discussion with your manager, with the owner, whoever it is that has the power of influence. Because if it's not on the radar, sometimes those positions might come up and then they go out to market rather than hiring internal because they may not even think that there's someone that wants it. So they go, well, let's go out and see who's out there or who would step up from an internal perspective. But actually, if you've already put your hand up for it, they might just tap you on the shoulder and go, hey, you want the role?
There's two aspects to this. One is there will be jobs or roles within your organisation that someone is currently doing that you would like to do. And that's awkward, right? You go to your boss and say, you know that Ishmael? Yeah, I'd like his job. And so that can be an awkward conversation when it's a clearly defined role. But you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. The person whose role you would quite like, they may well be thinking of going somewhere else. So nothing wrong with signalling that there's a particular role that interests you, even if someone's currently in it. The second aspect of that is when you put your hand up to say, hey, I'm capable of more, I'd like to do more, that can just be taking on more responsibility, indicating that you're ready for more challenge. And that might come in the form of a special project, or you might get to be part of an experience that's different to BAU. And by letting your leaders know that you want more and you're willing to do more, you're signaling to them, hey, that's somebody who we could use for this special project X.
They sometimes use it in job interviews as a question around progression, kind of where do you see yourself within 5 years, or where do you want to see yourself go in the company? And sometimes you can actually give yourself massive career brain damage before you even start by saying, well, I'd really like your role.
I want your job.
And that may be true, but when the person who hears that, they might be just going, well, actually, no, I'm not going to hire you because of that. So maybe you need to reframe the answer to that question along the lines of, ambition and progression is really important to me. What opportunities do present themselves in a role for someone that excels? And frame it around that and have that discussion.
And I think it's also about accepting that it's okay to not want the top job. So if you look in big organizations and even small organizations, there's only one person usually in a hierarchical organization that's at the top. Only one person gets to be that. So does that mean that if you've got a team of 40 staff, that you've got 39 people who are walking around bitterly disappointed that they're not the top guy? No, you can really signal what kinds of things you're after. Sometimes it's that you want more responsibility for people. I think I'd be really good at leading this team. It frustrates me that our existing leader doesn't do X, Y, Z. Maybe what you're really good at is processing and thinking, or events, or project management. Progression doesn't necessarily mean moving up in terms of having more responsibility for people. Sometimes it can mean moving sideways and having more technical responsibility.
All right, what about the difference between collaboration and competing? Because I think you can do both of these things. And I think you need to be really aware of when you should collaborate and when you should compete with your peers to possibly position yourself for promotion.
Oh, I think this is such a great distinction that you're making. I mean, I can tell you what the difference is. If that was not a rhetorical question, I can answer it. Collaboration is bad and competition is good.
I should have flipped that, because actually everyone's talking about collaboration at the moment, right?
Oh, collaboration, work with others.
This whole, if the team wins, we all win. But there are times that you need to collaborate, and because it is such a buzz topic, I hate saying buzz topic, but it's something that businesses and companies are looking for right now. They are looking for people that are naturally collaborative to work on projects together. But then there are also times where you do need to compete and bring your best work. It's not a compete, I'm going to throw my workmate under the bus because they didn't do anything. But I think it is actually being prepared to take some recognition and put your ideas forward and make sure that people do understand who is contributing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, what I think is so powerful about sports analogies is that we clearly see how collaboration works. On the football field, as an example, right? We've got to pass the ball to each other, and somebody that just takes the ball all the time is a greedy ball hog. If you're in a rugby team, you say, feed the backs, pass the ball. You can't just hog it for yourself in a team sport environment. And if we look in our companies, we see this all the time. People who want to have all the glory, they want to take all of the responsibility, they want to make all of the decisions, and they don't play nicely with others. So, in some respects, Ash, the stuff that you and I always talk about, don't be a dick. The inability of people to collaborate sort of staggers me, because it's stuff that we all learnt to do at school, or we learnt to do in families, and now we just have a big long word for it. What I love about collaboration as a concept, I mean, for all my scoffing at it, I'm big into working with others. It's different from cooperation. Cooperation is, let's just all get along nicely, to my mind. Collaboration is much more about saying, how can we really thrash this out and work together and truly listen to each other's ideas, but also insist on our ideas being heard. That's what collaboration actually is. It's not, oh, I'll just sit there and Ish has got the loudest voice, so we'll do what he says. Or, Sasha talks loud and fast, so she must know. That's not collaboration, right? Collaboration is creating the space for people to actually make something together that is better and stronger because they have all contributed. Doesn't have to be equal contribution, but it does have to be, you have to contribute, you have to earn your spot in the team. That said, collaborations only works if people are competitive within that.
Yeah.
If you just expect the team to carry you, there has to be an element of competition where you go, I actually want to be the best player in this team, and that makes the whole team stronger because it doesn't just move your performance up, it moves the entire performance of the team up if we get a new standard of normal. So I think competition amongst workmates is super important. A players want to play with A players.
Yeah.
And if you want to get noticed for promotion, then absolutely you need to put your hand up. And I don't know if thinking of being competitive is helpful, but really for me it's about saying every day you are doing your best. And that means not allowing others to dent your shine. I can remember when I was at school, I was maybe 10. Yeah, I must have been 9 or 10. And the teacher sent a note home to my parents or asked to meet them and just said, look, I think Sasha needs to move schools. What? Hey, what do you reckon? And what it was, and this will sound really stupid, was that I had stopped actively participating in class because I was picking up all the social cues that being the best was not especially helpful to everyone else around me. So you can imagine, the teacher says, oh, what's 4 plus 4? And I was in a little country school and they're all going, and nothing wrong if you're battling 4 plus 4, right? We all get there in the end. But apparently I'd gone from being, well, that's 8, can we move on? I'd really just kind of was starting to shut down. That's a nice kind of little metaphor in the workplace. Sometimes if you are destined to be really good at something, you want to be with other people who are also striving to be really good at something, and no one is served by you making yourself smaller. So if you're thinking, I really want a promotion, I want to position myself for a promotion, but I don't want to stand out from my peers, you've got to find a way to get over that, because nobody gets any better. The organisation doesn't get better. Your results don't get better. You think about a football team going, oh, I don't want to run quite so fast because then everyone will know I'm the fastest. No! Go fast, go hard, say, hey, coach, pick me. So sometimes I think we just need to give ourselves a little bit of an uppercut and challenge ourselves to say, are we in the right environment? And then put your hand up and go, yay, I do know what 4 plus 4 is. Please, can I go outside and play now?
For some reason, I thought that story was going to go quite different, and you were in the playground convincing, influencing, manipulating all the other kids to answer that question as 9.
Oh.
And your little Sash just goes ahead with her 8.
This is what I mean about you being street smart, right? You are so far ahead of me. You are gaming this out.
All right, next one is do a bit of groundwork. Who makes the decisions and who are they going to talk to about a decision? Now, we've talked about this before, not just building relationships as treating people as a means to an end. So it's not relationships for the sake of relationships, but it is understanding the lay of the land a little bit. Who does make the decision on if you move up or not? And who are they going to talk to? Because I have seen this firsthand where someone was competing and they wanted a position and they gunned at it by throwing the other person under the bus, and they thought everyone was with them, and then everyone just went, nah. And it was just like, oh my goodness, fully exposed. And yeah, it was pretty much all
that
over.
Is the classic reality TV, right? That's Survivor. You think everyone's with you, and then the tribe has spoken. And then you're gone. One of the things I think is important to think about here is to be really clear on who the influential people are in your organisation, and they're not always the people that have the corner offices and the fancy titles. It might be someone that's been around for a long time and their opinion is respected. It might be the young loudmouth that their opinion is respected. turn on your emotional intelligence and say, who actually is influential around here? And can I make sure that they know the value that I bring? So that if they are asked, the name on their lips is mine, Sasha Ishmael.
I watched the Australian Survivor, and I remember one character in particular had the most amazing gameplay. So he figured out that everyone would go, oh, Sash, do you want to go get some water? And because we'd walk together and we would go to where we were getting the water and we'd have these conversations. So he set up this hiding place at the water hole and just hid there and just listened to everybody's conversations. And it was genius. Went all the way through and they just had no idea.
That is the Survivor equivalent of the water cooler. Yeah. Like who's having the chats around the water cooler?
So true.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Next one, nail your KPIs. Oh, we go on a little bit about this, but what is it that indicates that you are winning in your job and you are assessed so often against your KPIs? And KPIs fit into two camps: those you can directly influence and those that you can't. It's a KPI that's a business performance KPI or a team KPI, and you may not be able to influence it the same. We'll talk a little bit in a minute how you can position yourself with that. But please just understand that your KPIs are underpinning your job. So there's no point in doing a whole lot of other stuff that everybody likes and you think is pleasing everybody when it actually doesn't make a shred of difference.
Be good at your job before you want a promotion. Or if it turns out you're in the wrong role, then be able to construct a sensible argument as to why the company should keep you but actually promote you even though you suck at the thing you're doing now.
Brilliant.
And that might be okay. I know you employed me to do X. I'm actually not that good at X, but Y, which coincidentally pays more money for less work, I'm actually amazing at that and actually deal with that directly rather than be judged on the performance that you have right now, which is average. Have you heard of the Pareto Principle?
No, but I'm about to hear about it.
Yeah, you are, and happy Easter. This one's from the Bible. So the Peter Principle, you know who Peter was, right? Peter was one of the disciples who ultimately betrayed Jesus. And when the soldiers came to the Garden of Gethsemane, I mean, we're recording this over Easter, so this is all fresh in our minds. When the soldiers came to him in the garden and he betrayed Jesus 3 times. Peter was... he was one of Jesus' favorite disciples because he was, broken. He was flawed. That's led to in business this idea of the Peter Principle, where people get promoted to their level of incompetence. So you're good at your job, and so you get promoted. You're good at that job, and you get promoted. You're good at that job, you get promoted, and then you're not very good at that job. What we don't do in our companies is then demote that person. They stay at that job that they're not that good at. They're not going to get promoted, but they're also not going to move down in the hierarchy. So logically, our organizations are actually full of people who aren't very good at their jobs because they've been promoted to the level of their incompetence. They're not going to get promoted again. What this means for you if you're wanting to move and shake and have a bit of a move up in a hierarchical organization is just because someone's got a job at a particular level doesn't mean A, they love it, B, they're good at it, or that there's not an opening. Our organizations are full of people who were good at their job one layer down.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, right? Not everyone's going to make CEO.
So why don't we talk a little bit about just what I was talking about before with the KPIs. If you've got a KPI that you feel is outside of your control of influence and you're assessed against it, what's sometimes helpful, and it's part of your positioning for promotion, is choose a tangible task or a tangible goal that you can complete that underpins the KPI. So it may not get it over the line as such, but if someone actually said to you, so what did you do to influence that KPI? You can say, I did this. And if you can actually discuss it with your manager prior to that, this is what I'm going to be focusing on to help this company KPI. Whether the company makes the KPI or not, you succeeded in the goal that was part of that, and they can't take that away from you.
I love that because you are controlling your input and controlling the process when you can't control the output or the outcome. So in sales, we always talk about sales activity. You can't control necessarily. You can influence, but you can't control whether people are going to buy your pen, buy your car, buy the fitness membership you're trying to sell them, buy your religion. What you can control is the amount of activity that you do. So if your job says make 20 phone calls a day, visit 10 customers, do that bit. Do that bit faithfully and well and be able to show that you've done it. I love that. I mean, GSD, man, get shit done. One of the things that we've raised from a generational perspective is we've raised people who do like a lot of talk. They do like to analyze situations. Sometimes you just need to do stuff and realize the stuff that you do that is important, even if it doesn't change everything. Now, let me give you an example of this. I spoke at a conference of family court judges in New Zealand, and it's fair to say that there's lots within our family court legal system that could do with some transformative change. And there's a real groundswell of people that want to change this. But it's hard for each individual person in the system to recognize what they can do. So the temptation is to just do what you've always done and hope that the system changes. So if you're thinking, what does this mean about positioning for promotion? You go, oh, well, I don't think there's stuff that I can do that changes much around here, so I'll just do what I've always done. Rather than recognize that the kind of outcomes that your organization might be wanting might actually come from everybody doing something just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Or a little bit differently. And that's the bit that you can control. And if you signal, like it says, signal in advance, here's what I'm going to do, and then do it, that makes you a rare breed.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-Minute Presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-Minute Presenter program. All right, next thing we're going to talk about for positioning for promotion is always be working on a new skill. I have just had some news that someone within our business is leaving, and I'm absolutely gutted because they are a rock star. But they have been working on a skill as a bit of a side hustle, and that has opened up an opportunity for them to step into something that they are completely passionate about. And they were using that skill and developing that skill under their current role because it was supporting the role that they were doing. They were just getting better and better at it, and we were getting heaps of value out of it. It was helping them with their performance. They were rock star in their role. And now they've been able to step out into a career that they just didn't even know that was possible for them because they've nailed a skill. And so have a skill that you're working on. What do you want to get better at? What would a skill be that would position you for promotion or position you for opportunity? And then just start working on it. Just block out some time in your calendar every single week and start working on the skill.
Love this. It's super good for your brain as well. It's good for your overall performance. Even if the skill doesn't end up being like in your story, you will be better at what you do and a better person for the fact that you are continuing to learn. And that makes it worth doing. I got an idea.
Okay, what's your idea, Sash?
If you are wanting to reposition how you are perceived in an organization, one of the simplest things you can do is change your look. You might go, what do you mean change my look? I mean, if you're a jeans and a t-shirt kind of a guy, get yourself some new jeans and a flasher t-shirt and just signal that you are going to dress and behave as if you had the job that you wanted, not the job that you're currently in, because it sets a tone. If you used to turn up to meetings with not a single bit of paper or pen or your phone or any recording advice because you're just there at someone else's meeting, now might be a really good time to start turning up to the meetings with your notebook, with your pen. I mean, if you want extra for experts, take a highlighter or your new bit of kit that you've got, but send a message to everybody in your organization that you want to be treated differently, that you're ready for more, and that you want to be taken seriously. Put your shoulders back, walk differently, ask more questions in meetings, signal that there is something that you want that is greater or more than what you have now. And do it in a disciplined fashion, not just on Tuesdays.
Yeah, there's a little button on your podcast that says rewind 60 seconds. You should hit that and listen to that advice again, because that was gold, Sash.
Also, can I just say that this morning I mucked up my shower times in my first meeting that was on Zoom with my team. I was in my dressing gown. So I think I should rewind and listen to that advice as well.
Was it at least a Teams meeting? It wasn't in person.
Yeah. Yes, online. Yes, Teams.
I could just imagine you jumping in the car, half naked, dressing gown on, running into coffee culture. Oh, hey, guys.
What's wrong about that is no one finds that hard to imagine.
All right, so last thing I want to talk about is, what do you do if you apply for a position, a promotion, and you don't get it? So if you didn't get it once, I think you should respectfully ask for some feedback. So, why did they choose the other person? Why didn't you get the role? Is there anything else that you could have done?
Ask, why did you pick me? Why do you hate me?
Oh, man, I'm not above crying. But at least try to get some advice, because otherwise what might happen is you get bitter about it, or you start judging the person that got the role. So just get some tangible advice. So what? You applied for something and you didn't get it. Welcome to the real world. Sometimes that stuff just doesn't work out. But at least if you said, look, I was really confident I was going to get it. However, is there anything I could have done differently? Anything I should be working on, so if it comes up again, you'll be looking at me. And just take that on board.
And did you know that Joe has a drinking problem?
Yeah, definitely.
I forget that, you've got a Joe. Sorry, not your Joe.
Maybe she does. I've never met a Joe I didn't like, though, but they all have a drinking problem. And then the second one is, what if you've applied again and you hear a no again? And this is advice I've given to people. If you get 2 no's, it's time to leave. But it's time to leave well. Because it may be that you just need to go do what you are doing somewhere else and do a thing called increase your brand equity.
Oh, tell me about that. That sounds fancy.
Yeah, so if you've been overlooked a couple of times, chances are the third time is going to be the same. There's obviously something missing. So you can segue into maybe a similar industry or an industry that has got a similar role and go do it there for a while. And what can often happen is when they start to then look at the positions again, your brand equity goes up, your value goes up, because they can see what you're doing. You've gone into something, you're excelling in it, your skill set is now gone. They recognize that it was a good skill set, and then it's like, oh, hey, Sash, you want to come back? And when you come back, you get a lot more leverage, a lot more opportunity to negotiate.
Yeah, loved this. I call it the make them beg you to come back. That's the strategy.
Yeah.
You want me back, you beg.
Yeah. You
beg for me to come back. You hurt my feelings. Everybody wins, I think, in this, because the organisation gets the opportunity to see how much they miss you, and they might not miss you, and that's okay. You get to try new stuff in a different environment, and every time you're in a different environment, you're going to be learning.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that travel is such a powerful accelerator of experience for us is our brain is exploding on a daily basis because we are confronting it with new inputs. So easy just to get so stuck in the same place. So anytime you've got a chance to work somewhere else, try something new, it's good for us. And it absolutely increases our value.
But when you leave, leave well, leave out the front door of the building, not like you're leaving a fire escape where there's a whole lot of noise as you open the door and then it shuts behind you and you can't get back in. All right, so hopefully there are some ideas there for you to position for promotion if you're young in your career. Take our advice if you're a little bit more conditioned and, is that the word, conditioned in your career? Stuck in your career? Take the advice and start to look at it. Maybe just rebrand yourself, your personality, start acting in a way that positions you for that promotion. If you're new, really do your time in understanding what it is that makes you successful in your role. Who are your relationships and your opportunities with, and then make sure that you are thriving by collaborating and competing at the same time. How's your 40 days going?
Can you tell?
I can. You look like you're about 16 days in.
Okay. You know, well, you do know Christians, because I know you know this. They wear those wristbands that go, that say, "What would Jesus do?"
Yes.
So, do you know New Zealand ran out of Easter eggs? I don't know if you knew this, but yeah, so we went to buy Easter eggs with the kids because all our adult children have returned home and said, no, we want to do Easter. I'm like, what? We're too old for that. So we went to the supermarket. There was nothing left except a favourites box. So it was like a Moro bar, a picnic bar, a crunchy bar, and a tiny egg. So we just had to buy that box of favourites. So as I was looking at the box of favourites, I was thinking about my 40 days in the desert. And I thought, what would Jesus do right now? Facing the temptation. And I just felt that I should, in service of my children, make sure that the eggs were not old. Do you think that was the right call?
I like it. I think that is good. So you basically took one for the team?
I took the potentially poisonous egg, tested it to ensure that it would be safe for the baby birds to eat.
That's good. I never had a What Would Jesus Do bracelet. I had a WWCND bracelet. What would Chuck Norris do?
What would Chuck Norris do?
You know what he'd do? He'd eat a damn chocolate egg. He's eaten more chocolate eggs than anyone on the planet. Did you know if you spell Chuck Norris in Scrabble, you win forever?
I've just started a new Netflix show.
Oh, yes, I'm excited.
It's called Severance. Have you heard of it?
Yes. Oh, but I'm not watching it on Netflix. I'm watching it on Apple TV.
That's because you're using the correct names for those things. I'm 2 episodes in. I love that stuff, man. I love it. I'm not really, it's 2 episodes in, so I don't really know what happens, but just the idea of how our memories work. And are you very far in?
I'm about episode 4. So explain the concept, because, it's something that I think when you hear it, it's intriguing and you might want to watch it.
Okay, so the concept is that these people have had their brains altered so that they have true work-life balance. And how it works is when they go into their place of employment, they have no memory of their outside life. So they just have a character that they remember being at work. Let's call it Work Sasha. Work Sasha doesn't know if she has a family, doesn't know where she lives, doesn't know her history. She just knows inside the 4 walls. Then when I leave the building at the end of the day, there's like a switch in my brain that flicks over and I become at-home Sasha. And at-home Sasha knows she has a job but doesn't know anything else about it. So it's complete compartmentalization. And of course, it's all a bit sci-fi and eerie. And of course, you know that somebody's evil, but we're not sure who's evil yet. Yeah. So, it's exciting.
But isn't it trippy how when the work, or the one they call the innie, when they leave work, they're instantly back again.
Yeah.
So they literally shut the door and then open it and they're back at work, because to them, nothing happened. All of that time never happened. So they're literally trapped in work, and then outie is trapped in the outside world. Ooh, spooky dooky. Well, I'm watching one too called Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah, my kids were talking about that, and I thought they were mispronouncing Moonlight, which was quite an artsy Oscar-winning movie, and I was really touched. I thought, oh, the kids are watching Moonlight. That's amazing.
No. It's definitely not Moonlight. So Moon Knight is Marvel, and this one's an Egyptian kind of superhero god who's basically uses someone as an avatar. And but the person they're using, and I haven't quite figured it out yet, but is a bit schizophrenic. So they've got 2 personalities within the one body, and it's excellent. So I'm loving that.
I like the sound of that, and also, may I pay you a compliment? Mm-hmm. That was a much better description than the vampire oldie time ones, just so you know.
Well, that's why I was like, you explain Severance, because that's way.
I'm like, you've watched 4, I've only watched 2. You nailed that. You're the man. You're ready for a promotion.